Welcome to the Leadership Catalyst PowerBites podcast, where leadership meets transformation. I'm your host, Philip Botha. In each episode, my guest brings their perspective on real leadership challenges, along with actionable insights that you can use. My guest today is Nick Jonsson, a certified Chief Master Coach, networking leader, and a passionate advocate for leadership well-being. Nick, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Philip. It's great to be here.
You're most welcome. Nick is the co-founder and managing director of EGM Singapore that creates confidential peer circles built from the conviction that mutual transformation helps. He is also probably best known for his international bestseller, Executive Loneliness, which addresses the often unspoken personal and emotional struggles that leaders face at the top. And what I really admire about Nick's work is how he combines vulnerability, resilience, and practical action to help leaders deal with those moments. He also brings a depth of connection to making the world a better and a happier place, and something that, in his case, I really feel deeply authentic. So, Nick, to kick things off, in a nutshell, what do you bring to the leaders you work with?
Well, hopefully I help them to bring connection to themselves, connection with themselves within, connection to other people, may it be at home or at work, but also connection perhaps to the universe. Many times we're running our life at full speed and it's easy to lose the connection with ourselves. I certainly had lost the connection in myself about 10 years ago. I found it, and now my aim is to give back and helping others to find theirs.
Thank you. So my first question, who are the people who benefit most from your services?
Well, there's two different audiences here. First, it's the individuals. Many people are going through challenges. Someone might have lost a job, or maybe someone is going through, a 40 years crisis, which is what happened to me, or maybe some personal ups and downs that are happening, some personal health crisis or so. A lot of my clients are high-performing executives who are going through divorce, and going through that at the same time as you're trying to drive perhaps a business or running a company can be very difficult. So that's on the individual side. I'm coaching individuals to go through these life transitions in life. On a corporate level, I'm also helping teams to go through this, because teams are also going through a lot of challenges. It can be automation that is making some of the team members go, and then it can create all these insecurities inside the team. And I'm coming in basically in the teams to helping them to become more vulnerable, to have a closer connection with each other, and to have a warmer culture. And in a nutshell, it's psychological safety we're talking about here.
So what would you say is the core problem or challenge that you help them solve?
Well, it's really that to start asking for help, or to map out what is it they need help with. The first step of my journey, my recovery journey, was basically what I call surrender. And I ask everyone to help them in a safe environment on a one-on-one level with me to work on what is holding them back. We all have perhaps some bad habits that is preventing us from performing or being the person we want to be. And if those bad habits are not addressed, then they can turn over to addictions. We see basically everything from drug use, alcohol addiction, to social media addiction, shopping, online gambling. All these addictions are really, really, growing all around the world. And my job is then to work with the individuals to identify, is it something that is holding them back? Perhaps the person used to spend an hour every evening reading a book before going to bed, but maybe today they're spending that last hour before bed on social media, answering emails, and therefore perhaps finding themselves in a miserable place, and therefore they have a bad night's sleep, and then it goes in full circle. So that's some of the work that I do there.
Okay. So when they're in this space, what are the common symptoms your clients experience when they're dealing with that?
Typically, when someone come to me, they have dealt with it by isolating themselves. Perhaps they've cut people off. Maybe they stop showing up for their friends, their family members. So typically, they are in an isolated place, and therefore, bad habits and addiction goes hand in hand. What do we do if we isolate? Well, maybe we have that additional drink. We start to have something to deal with that isolation, to deal with that emptiness. Because at the end of the day, we are social animals, and we need to have that connection. If you see perhaps some of your friends or peers who don't show up for that regular Wednesday evening when you go and play football together or whatever it is, then look out for those people, because those are definitely the warning signs that I'm seeing.
Okay, so what I find interesting is that you ask everyone to be on the lookout for this, not just the leaders who experience it, but also the people within their environment who may not be looking out for these symptoms. So, from your experience and your perspective, what are the typical errors that people make when they're going through situations like this? And how do they hold themselves back when they try to address these situations?
Yeah, typically people tend to perhaps lose their health, physical and mental health, when they're going through these challenges. And just if I'm looking at myself, I put on about 30 kilograms of fat when I went through my challenging period in my life. I basically traded my gym membership for a bar stool, and then that's a slippery slope. Then I lost a lot of confidence in myself. I lost the energy, and I see that also in many people. It's happening that perhaps we lose the health, we lose perhaps the joy of our hobbies. In my case, I used to love to run and swim and cycle. I hardly did any sport. I didn't show up for anything, and all I did was isolate or go to a bar where I can consume alcohol and numb my feelings around that. And that is what I'm seeing with other people also when they're going through difficult times. We can look out for our friends or colleagues at work, because in our community, there will always be some people who are going through this. And by looking out for this, we can perhaps give them a helping hand.
Absolutely. So, Nick, can you recommend a single powerful inspirational idea that could inspire someone to take action and to move beyond this situation or this phase, if one can call it that?
Yeah, I would recommend anyone to, do almost like doing an audit of themselves or a stock take. Maybe you do a stock take once a week or once daily or at least once a quarter. But how often do we do that as human beings? Really having an honest look at ourselves, and can be as simple as getting, a post-it note and pen out and writing down what it is. Just taking an honest look at ourselves and see, do we have some bad habits here that are creeping in? Are we really doing the best we can for ourselves? And once we've taken that down, then circle if there's something there that really stands out, that really is something that is damaging you. In my case, it was my alcohol consumption. That was the one that was causing the biggest harm to me. I circled that, and then it was taking ownership for that and addressing it. The thing is, as soon as we have done this audit, and as soon as we have circled the thing that perhaps is preventing us from moving forward in the best way, then there will be other people who've gone through that before. So in my case, once I knew that it was alcohol that was the issue in my life, there was plenty of people who have gone through that before. And I was able to therefore very, very quickly get the support for my challenge with that. And I was part of a support group then that helped me. And since I joined that support group meeting that day, I remember I felt understood. There was no stigma. I could see the path ahead. I understood I wasn't the only one here. And since then, it's almost 8 years now. I haven't had an alcoholic drink. There's been no need to have it anymore. What I was lacking was connection. And I was using alcohol to try to find that connection. But once I found a connection with people instead, that was a much better go-to for me. And it's the same with gambling. It's the same with social media addiction or any other issues in the world. And so what I'm getting at here, it's asking for help. And there's mentors, there's coaches, there's anonymous 12-step programs, there's hotlines all around the world full of volunteers who are there to give back. And that's the space that I'm in now, also trying to be as useful as I can to help others and direct them. If I cannot help them, direct them to someone who can.
My next question follows on from that. From what you've just shared, what would be a valuable free action that anyone listening right now could take to start moving towards solving this issue, whether they're a leader themselves or someone within that leader's environment?
Yeah, a free action to me, because I talk about authenticity, I talk about holistic leadership and holistic success and vulnerability. One action everyone could take is think about someone you will meet today. May it be someone in your office or someone at home, or maybe even your partner if you are married, and just ask them, how can you be a better friend to them? Or in the case of me to my wife, how can I be a better husband for you? And make it an open-ended question, and listen and hear the other person out and truly listen. It builds vulnerability, and it is a starting point of something, because so many times we are trying to do all the work. We're trying so hard to think, what is it the other person want? It's almost like we blindly are guessing, giving the other person a gift, guessing what we should tell them. We're advising them what to do without them even telling us. But all it takes is actually asking, how can I be a better friend to you? Just leave it open and build that conversations. And I would encourage everyone to start with one relationship and just think about that today and go a little bit deeper and see what you can do for that person.
Do you have a valuable free resource that you can recommend that listeners can access to help or support them with situations like these?
Absolutely. And to any listener who connect with me on LinkedIn and ask for resources, I'm happy to share a free copy of my best-selling book, Executive Loneliness. I will send it over to you as an ebook. And the last chapter there, or the appendix, I should say, is a free resources. It's full of resources and hotline, helplines, people you can reach out to, and giving you some guidance as well. And so happy to share that with everyone.
That's very generous of you, Nick. Thank you very much. My last question is about something that's important for me, authentic leadership. And for me, authentic leadership means that you lead from deep alignment with your true core, your values, your purpose, your whole essence. And so that how you show up, that you're creating a meaningful impact in the world. But that's what it means for me. What does authentic leadership mean for you?
Authentic leadership for me means to use your challenges that you've gone through in your life as your true north and your strength. So in my case, I'm using the challenges I had with alcohol and sugar cravings and overeating and so on when I was in a bad space, by turning that around to now use it as my strength and take full ownership for it and sharing what I did to go through that period of my life. That's something that I'm looking for also with all my coaching clients. We identify their purpose, their values in life, but also the biggest challenges they have. And one highly successful executive who I was coaching this week told me that there was two things in his life that meant a lot to him that stood out. One was that he has a diabetes. So now we are mapping out which organization in his community, his country, and his neighborhood can he be of support for other people who are going through challenges with diabetes. And that's his sort of tribe where he can give back and helping and feel the connection with others who's going through the same. So he feel that he's doing something meaningful. So that's what I mean with being authentic. It means not trying to do something for someone else by adapting and looking good for them, but really go deep inside ourselves. What is it? Our strengths, our weaknesses, our challenges, and dig into that, take full ownership for them, and then appreciate that is who I am. That is what I went through. Now that is where I can give back.
Nick, that sounds very inspirational. And something that struck me, two things that struck me when I was listening to you. And the one is the importance of honesty. You know, being honest to yourself, being honest to others, and that enabling you to have an honest look at who you are and what you are doing in your life. And the two go hand in hand. And we often miss that connection because that's what leads us, as you say, to connection with others. And the second thing that really jumped out at me is the ability to take the real deep challenges in life that a lot of people normally keep complaining about, but to flip that and to use that as the source for purpose. And I found that very inspirational. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I can just add on that one because it's so important to do that, because otherwise we have so much stigma for our failures and maybe so much shame also about it. And I just want to end with this story as well here, that I'm now also coaching another executive who's gone through not only personal bankruptcy, but also his companies in a few countries he was running went bankrupt. And he basically went into ghost mode. He was thinking about changing his name, completely withdrawing from everything in society because of all the stigma and shame around that. But now, as we've been talking through it and normalize it in conversation, he started to take ownership for it and cleaning up all he can and making amends and doing all he can in his power to set things right. And when you do that, then you can continue and without changing our name, because that would be a waste of all his pain and everything he went through, because there will be so many others who also will go bankrupt, who will lose businesses, and therefore he can be there and support them through that.
That sounds like real transformation. I have utmost respect for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.